Why is it that when people post videos that say MAGA is racist, MAGA are bigots, and then I comment and I say, please provide your research on that. I would love to see the research on this. Seriously, I would. I would love to see if there's real research on this. And I say, please provide statistics. And then they never answer me. It's interesting. Interesting.
Good news. Scientists actually studied this. Real universities, real surveys, thousands of people. And what they found was that the single biggest predictor of whether someone would support MAGA, like bigger than money, bigger than jobs, bigger than anything economic, was how they felt about keeping America white. Not conservative values, not taxes, not morals, just that. So a 2019 survey of white Americans found that white nationalism, wanting to keep the United States white demographically and culturally, was strongly related to the willingness to wear a MAGA hat. And that's not my opinion, that's a published academic study. And a separate research institute built what they called a structural racism index. It was basically a score for how comfortable someone is with racist ideas. And Republicans scored a 0.67 out of 1. And Democrats scored a 0.27. And that scale only goes to 1. So there's your research. That's your statistics. You're welcome. Now I'm going to add a little something that maybe no one's explained to you yet. And I really want you to hear this. You know why bars don't allow gang colors like biker jackets or hate symbols? Not because the owner's rude, but because the second that those symbols walk through the door, the people who aren't about that life, they get uncomfortable and they leave. And then who stays? Everyone who's perfectly fine with it. So the bar doesn't become a hate bar just because hateful people showed up. It becomes one because everyone else left, right? So rallies, they work exactly the same way. And this isn't just like the January 6th rally. You know, at a Trump boat parade in Florida, attendees waved swastika flags and shouted, "Hail Trump," and "Make America White Again." And at the Capitol on January 6th, people walked those halls in Camp Auschwitz hoodies. You know, the death camp where over 1 million Jewish people were unalived. Yeah, a professor who had spent his entire career studying this movement was horrified. He was shocked. And he watches this for a living. He couldn't believe that was happening in our Capitol. But rally after rally, Yahzee flags, Confederate flags, and people stayed. If there's even one Yahtzee flag, you are at a Yahtzee rally. And Keeks, I'm kind of implying that you might be one. Not because you're marching in robes, not because you're wearing a pointy white hat, but because you keep asking for research that you won't read. You go to rallies and you won't leave. Next to flags you won't condemn. And at some point, I didn't know stops being an excuse and just starts being a choice.